Sure. Any persons wishing to address the Board of Trustees regarding a matter that is not on the agenda must complete a request to address the trustees form and submit it to the recorder before the meeting is called to order. Request to address the board, written or verbal, will not be granted after the meeting has begun.
Cualquier persona que quiera dirigirse a la mesa directiva referente a un asunto al cual no está en la agenda tiene que llenar la forma petición de dirigirse a la mesa directiva y someterla al secretario antes de que la reunión sea llamada a pedido. Peticiones de dirigirse a la mesa directiva escritas o orales no serán permitidas después de que la reunión haya comenzado.
Thank you. We will call the meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. Call to order, please.
Jesse Otana, Board President.
Here.
Ernesto Galvez, Vice President.
Here.
Gilbert Lopez, Clerk.
Here.
Evie Velasquez, Board Member.
Here.
Elizabeth Melfi Santana Garibaldo, Board Member.
Present.
Miguel Guerrero, Superintendent, Present. Fred Molina, Director 2 of Administrative Services.
Present.
Dean Esparza Diaz, Director 2 of Instructional Services.
Present.
Antonio Aguilera, Administrative Secretary Recorder.
Present.
Jessica Rodriguez, District Communications Translator Interpreter.
Present.
Thank you. Item number 2, adoption of agenda. Adopt agenda as presented.
Administration recommends that we adopt agenda as presented.
Thank you, staff. Any questions from board members on the adoption of agenda?
No questions, Mr. President.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor, please?
I motion to adopt agenda as presented, approved by Mr.
There is a motion on the floor by Member Santana. Second, please.
I'll second it.
Second by Member Lopez. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 3, closed session. We will move into closed session at 5:32 p.m. Any persons wishing to address the Board of Trustees regarding a matter that is not on the agenda must complete a request to address the trustees form and submit it to the recorder before the Pledge of Allegiance. Request to address the board, written or verbal, will not be granted after the Pledge of Allegiance has begun.
Cualquier persona que quiera dirigirse a la mesa directiva referente a un asunto que no está en la agenda tiene que llenar la forma petición de dirigirse a la mesa directiva y someterla al secretario antes del saludo redactado. Peticiones de dirigirse a la mesa directiva escritas orales no serán permitidas después de que la promesa redactada haya comenzado.
Thank you. We will go to open session at 6:37. Item number 1, there's nothing to report. Item number 5, Pledge of Allegiance. And Member Velasquez, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Member Velasquez. Let's move on to item 6, public comment.
We do have one for tonight. Good evening, members of the Lamont School Board. My name is Reina Perez, and I work as a self-contained dual kindergarten teacher at Alicante School. I want to inform the board that I have exhausted the 3 levels of the uniform complaint to the Lamont School District. At this point, I requested to be heard on a closed session on December 13th, 2020. This request was done before the board policy change. I did meet the board policy criteria to be heard in closed session. I was not granted the opportunity. I just want the board to be aware of it. Thank you, Ms. Bettis.
Thank you. Let's move on to item 7, consent items. Approval of consent items 1 through 8.
Administration recommends that we approve the consent items as presented on the board agenda.
Thank you, staff. Any questions from board members?
No questions, President.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor to approve?
I motion to approve the item number 7 consent items.
There's a motion by Member Lopez. Second, please. Second by Member Gray. All in favor? Motion carries. Item 8, Personnel Administration.
Mr. Board President, administration recommends to approve the certificated personnel action items as noted in your agenda.
Thank you, staff. Any questions from board on item 8.1?
No questions, Mr. President.
Is there a motion on the floor to approve?
I motion to approve item 8.1.
There's a motion on the floor by Member Santana. Second, please.
I will second that, Mr. President.
Thank you. There's a second by Member Velasquez. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 8.2, classified personnel.
Mr. Board President, fellow board members, administration recommends to approve the classified personnel action items as noted in your agenda.
Thank you, staff. Any questions from board on 8.2? Is there a motion on the floor to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
There's a motion on,
8.2.
there's a motion on the floor by Member Gray. Second, please.
I'll second the motion.
Second by Member Santana. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 9, General Administration, elect 4 CSBA Subregion 12B delegates.
So I did attach on your packet a copy of the ballot for the Subregion 12B delegates for CSBA. At the time when the ballot was published, there were 5 candidates. We have to elect 4. Since then, one of the candidates, Dave Manriquez with Kern High School District, is no longer running. So we only have the 4. I just need a motion so that we can mail in the ballot for the other 4 votes.
So we have to vote for 3?
For 4.
For 4.
Oh, for 4, so the 4.
So the
Yeah.
4 that are still running.
So, Mr. President, I motion that we vote for Pam Bauer, Tim Johnson, Jerry N. Rivera, and Keith Woolridge.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor by Member Santana to approve item number 9.1. Second, please.
I will second that, Mr. President.
Thank you. There's a second by Member Velasquez. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 9.10, items removed from the consent calendar. None? Let's move on to item 11, reports and communications, board member reports. Let's start off with Member Gray tonight.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Member Lopez,
Nothing to report, Mr. President.
Member Velasquez,
Nothing to report.
Member Santana.
Nothing to report at the time.
Thank you. Member Hondo, nothing to report tonight. Let's move on to 11.2, superintendent report.
Good evening, board members. Just wanted to kind of bring you up to speed on where we were at with our reopening and phasing in our students back to in-person instruction, hybrid instruction. So.
Rick?
So before we get started, I wanted to kind of review some of our data that we've collected recently. We surveyed our parents as well as our staff on two topics. One, the parents, what would their selection would be if in-person instruction was available, hybrid or distance learning. So we asked a couple key questions. They're the same questions that we asked previously when we started right around the beginning of the year. And so we can see that we had 326 responses this time around. And so the first question, assuming the guidelines for reopening schools have been met and given choice, how would you prefer your child to attend school? So we gave them the option of physically being in school, distance learning, or a combination, the hybrid. So you can see how the 326 parents responded. It basically breaks down to about a third. And then you can compare it to the response back in fall of last year, of 2020. You can see the difference. People have said distance learning. You can see an increase in distance learning becoming a more favorable option for our parents. I thought that was an interesting piece of data that we needed to kind of take into consideration when we start to reopening and phasing in our students back to in-person instruction. Also, the physical aspect kind of shrunk a little more. So what I think the way we can interpret that is that back in the fall, more people wanted to be here, and then now more people are shifting to distance learning. So.
How many were surveyed in the first one?
326 and 702 in the fall.
So there's a bigger pool.
Yes, there was. Yes. Mhm. The next one, similar question. In the event modifications are needed to reopen school to ensure school social distancing, which option would you prefer? So you can say attending school all day of the week, all days of the week by instituting 2 shifts during the day to maintain smaller class size. Basically what that means is having an A-B schedule. A come in the morning, B come in the afternoon, going 5 days a week. The other one is attending school on alternative days with 2 shifts to maintain smaller class size. And then the last one is attending virtually only. So the red is basically the hybrid where we have A, B coming Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday is deep cleaning day, distance learning, and then the next cohort comes in Thursday, Friday. So you can see the difference between what the perceptions were, what the intentions were in the fall compared to this in the spring now, basically. You can see the numbers are pretty much the same, but they've shifted a little bit in a couple of those responses.
What was it, orange?
Virtual,
This one?
distance learning.
So that one kind of grew.
Yep. I think parents are either warming up or now that they've had almost a year worth of distance learning, are kind of getting used to that, kind of liking that method or finding it to be an option for their child. Because a lot of us, previous to this, we've never experienced distance learning. So this is something new to them. That's why I say the state's gonna have to make a decision to allow us to offer that particular educational program from here on out. There's gonna be a lot of pressure on the state to do that. That's my personal opinion.
There was a story in today's paper, I think it was in today's, where, I don't know if it was a Kern High or Bakersfield City, where there was a lot of Ds and Fs. Did you read that story?
No, I know that I've read other districts where they're having that, and it's at the high school level, it's at the junior high level where the Ds and Fs are given more frequently.
Yeah, so then, do we have data that, to showcase how many of our students are low performing and achieve, and getting those Ds and Fs?
Yes,
Do we,
yes, we can generate a data that shows how many Ds and Fs have been historically, say 3 or 4 years ago, a summation, to what it's like in the pandemic and do a comparison.
okay, fair enough.
Connection loss. There's something that you guys will be sharing with you soon. It's called KIDS. It's a portal created by the county that will have all that information all on one site. It's pretty dynamic, pretty interesting, and it's going to be a powerful tool as far as to guide instruction, to guide some of the decisions that we're making, and all that data will be at our fingerprints. And one of the analysis is that, the DS, and how many they've had over the last 2 or 3 years compared to now.
I seen the news before I left, and it was Panama Buena Vista, district had connects, and they were a lot of Fs, Ds and Fs in that. This came on at 5 o'clock.
Okay, that's where I picked it up then. It was in the paper then as well. That's where, and then it was the increase, Dr. Guerrero was dramatic.
Yes.
It was huge. So I'm just curious, so then they were saying that that's why they want the students to come back onto the campuses.
Yeah, there is definitely a concern among the education field that the learning loss is tremendous. There's emerging data or emerging research is saying kids are losing somewhere in the range of about a year, half of it to 1.5, so a year and a half gap is increasing from whatever they were coming to you previously. So you can imagine how bad of a gap we're going to be dealing with when the students do come back. And now this is, do you have reliable internet? You can see that percentage went down quite a bit. We do have reliable internet in Lamont. We've made tremendous efforts in trying to make sure that all kids have access to a Chromebook and that they have, but most importantly, the Chromebook and internet access to all of them. We've gone as far as hiring a service provider to go out to their house at the district's cost to make sure and evaluate the house setting to find out why that particular house living area is not picking up the Wi-Fi. And we've done, I gotta admit, that's something that the tech department and the district as a whole has done a really good job of just analyzing what the problems are, finding solutions, and allocating resources that are necessary. And in some instances, those resources went outside our capabilities, so we hired vendors to go out to the house to review. In one case, we even recommended to a landowner to cut the tree down because it was blocking the Wi-Fi.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, we've gotten that detailed. And then this just kind of says, speaks to if the following considerations were for preventive measures what are you more accepting of, right? So we're all saying that we can take the temperature, we're all saying that our kids can wash their hands in a favorable manner, wearing a mask, eating outside, one-way hallways, no outdoor activity. I do find that very interesting because on both times that we did that, parents do want their kids to have some type of outdoor activity is what I gathered from there. That was the most unfavorable strategy of COVID prevention layer that we could implement. So basically what that feedback is telling me is that parents do want their kids to have some type of outdoor activity or have access to not just being enclosed in the classroom, which is, you know, something that we will try to do as best we can with the limited space. And now we want to kind of bring you up to speed. The other survey we did is basically we asked our staff, vaccine, now that it's available, would you take it? And so this is the report. We had 292 responses out of a possible 400. So almost half, over half I should say. And you can see who responded the most. Obviously Alicante has the most staff, so they had the largest portion of people that responded to the survey, and it broke it down by department as well as site, so you can see a nice breakdown of who took the survey overall. And then here, certificated versus classified. When they took the survey, how did they identify themselves as classified or certificated? You can see that the majority of them were classified. Obviously, we have more, so that's reflective of what our staff population is. And then, which of the following applies to you? I am interested in being vaccinated for COVID-19 as soon as I'm eligible. So 44% of our staff said yes, that they're interested. I am not interested in being vaccinated immediately. 39%, so about 40% stated that they're not interested at all, which is a big number. And then I do not ever intend to be vaccinated for COVID, about 9%, 10%. So you can see, kind of get a general idea of what the feelings are with our staff and what the indications might be as far as the vaccination protocols that are now available to us. Because now we're, as of Monday, as stated in the Friday update, we're eligible, educators are eligible in the county to take the vaccine. And now I want to kind of, the important part, reopening phase. We want to hit these targets. So you can see that we want to transition everybody from, now that the COVID rate is going down, I heard today that it went down to 18.5 for every 100,000. So that's a tremendous amount of decrease in that aspect, that rate, because previously, right around January, it was upwards in the 80s, 88 roughly area. So there's a tremendous dip in that aspect, so that's allowing us to open up. And one of the key components that I haven't heard the Kern County Public Health Department say is that schools are now eligible. They came out and publicly said that today. So that's a key thing, because now what that says to us is that now it's going to add another layer of possible pressure to say, hey, you know, it's safe enough for you guys to do it if you still have the appropriate protocols. Mind you, that's key to all this, to make sure that we're following social distancing, we're washing our hands frequently, we're wearing masks throughout, we have shields whenever we don't have masks. So all those protocols, if we do it right, it seems like we're at the point where we can open up and do it in a manner that's safe of all participants, both staff and students. So what we're projecting that on March 1st, on Monday, everybody that's on an AB schedule will come back to working full-time in their regular hours. And then the first transition would be the moderate severe class, like we had back in November. So they would come back on March 4th, on that Thursday. The staff would come back on that Monday, prep for their students to come back, and then have live bodies in the classroom on Thursday. So that would be like the first cohort of kids that we would transition back in. These students have been in our classes previously. They have been exposed to our protocol so far. So we envision that being not as a good transition for our kids in which the students already kind of know what to anticipate, okay? The next layer to that would be our preschool, our TK and K, and we're projecting Monday, March 15th. All supporting staff, instructional staff, i.e. the teacher that's assigned to that classroom for that grade, the instructional aides that are assigned to that classroom for that grade, will report on March 11th, that Thursday prior to them starting on Monday. When I say report, that means physically they're going to come to school, to their classroom. And you can see how we're layering after that. On grades 1, 2, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, we're doing April 6th. The reason there's such a gap is because spring break falls in between there. So they'll report on March 25th, before spring break, and then they'll come back after spring break, that's Tuesday, April the 6th. That's for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And then 4, 5, 6 comes back 2 weeks later on the 19th. Staff reports on the 15th, and so forth. And you can see how every 2 weeks we'll have a whole new cohort of kids coming, a whole new group of kids, and then it's kind of layered to allow the staff, all the support staff to be reassimilated with our student population. That's the game plan that we've kind of structured and would like to implement, and would like your guidance to say, give us the thumbs up to move on and to continue on this process. It looks like those rates, soon will be in the county in red, which will allow us even further opening up, and soon hopefully will be, if the vaccine is available for everybody and everybody takes advantage, you're going to see that rate even drop further to possibly put us in safe zones like the orange and yellow. If that happens, then we can definitely fast pace the junior high. This will be flexible depending on on where we are with the COVID rate. If the COVID rate goes down even further and puts us in hypothetically a yellow or orange, then I think that we can expedite those and move some groups and bring them all together as opposed to layering it. If it does remain, I don't foresee them budging, but kind of the only one that concerns me the most is possibly grade 7th and 8th, because it's such a unique situation with them because of the rotating of classrooms and then seeing multiple teachers during the day. So we have to be extremely cautious when we ask them to come back to make sure that the conditions allow us to do that, because it's hard to kind of implement cohorts and stable cohorts when you're dealing with the rotation of classrooms. So that being said, we will be following this particular schedule. I think you've seen it numerous times where we'll be following the hybrid. That's what we're transitioning in. So there'll be 2 groups, A and B. A will be here Monday, Tuesday. Everybody goes home. All instructional staff goes home on Wednesday for distance learning. They come back Thursday, Friday with Group B in person, and then Group A is distance learning. So that's the hybrid model that we will be transitioning everybody. And then eventually, if the colors are corresponding, we will be able to go back to normal schedule 5 days a week and resume our what we so desperately would like to return to normalcy.
Dr. Carrera, do we know what the outlying school districts are doing?
Yes. We know that Arvin and both, I think, Wheat Patch have their special ed coming already, the cohort of special ed. They have plans to, specifically with Arvin, I had a conversation with that particular superintendent this week, and they have plans similar to ours. March seems to be the one where we're all gearing up to kind of start to bring 1 or 2 grade levels back onto campus.
Mm-hmm. Do you know the reasoning why Bakersfield City moved theirs to April?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I've been trying to get a
that's
good
correct.
sense of what happened to that phasing in process that they kind of set forth and now pushed back.
Do we know what the current high school district's gonna do when they're bringing?
No, the only thing I know about them is that they are bringing the special ed cohort first, and that happens within the next couple of weeks. And then they opened up the sports, certain sports are now open. There is no, at least as far as we know, there is no set timetable as far as like bringing freshmen or bringing sophomores or bringing whatever the case may be. I haven't heard anything or any, in the news or anything like that. I know that, the other big district, Panama Buena Vista, they're starting on Thursday, in a couple days, their special ed cohort is coming on campus, and then like a week later, TKK is coming on campus. So they started also the process.
How about Greenfield? I know I see tons of cars at McKee. I mean, that parking lot, I don't see no kids, but, you
Yeah.
know, but the cars are all there.
I don't know,
I
do you
was
guys know?
wondering, Greenfield, nothing?
Questions from board?
Why are you having the staff start on the first?
On the what?
On the first instead of, let's say, Thursday? Cause I'm thinking a whole week would be good. You know how you have, you go back to the one before that? The first one, it says March first.
Yeah.
You know how you mostly have them spaced out about a week, some of them are 2
So
weeks.
started like started in 2 days, like,
Yeah.
yeah, we could do that.
So,
So the staff has a full week before students get here. I know that you guys already know what you're doing with special ed, but I mean, some normalcy in the office
Yep.
for a week would be. Cause those
Yeah.
are the offices, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and that way we would give staff working a whole week before students start coming in and, collaborating.
so that'd be February 25th. Correct?
Correct.
Right.
25th.
25th, February 25th.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, we can modify that, and get everybody, I was just kind of doing it to give everybody a chance to kind of gear up and get over here.
Mhm.
Cause now we're only on one day to kind of say, hey, by the way, you gotta get your stuff back. It's doable, cause most of us we're office driven per se. We don't have like a whole
I don't
class
think
to
there
set.
should be a problem, because isn't every employee on call?
Yes, they are, so we could do that.
I don't think
So
we're
my
gonna cut it
suggestion is
into.
just to move March first to February
Okay.
25th.
Yeah,
Yep, we can do that.
any additional questions, concerns?
We're okay with the timetable? Now?
I mean,
I
we
mean,
can move it up if it gets better, right?
yeah, oh yeah.
So it's still
We'll,
flexible.
since we're meeting on the 9th, I can give you guys an update. Well, we'll know what the conditions are to see if we could adjust some of the other grade levels to push them up.
but the staff will be here, you want Thursday for sure?
Thursday.
Okay.
So that gives us March 4th is a Thursday. So it's just a week and 2 days, basically, before the TK comes in, okay?
Yeah.
Is there a reason why you did it that way?
Give 2 weeks before spring break. Those are remember, TK and K in preschool are the student population that physically, probably, a good portion of them have never set foot in and so they're gonna be
They
interesting.
need the most.
Yeah,
So when is spring break again?
The last week of March, and then April 5th is that paid holiday, that we have in the contract. And so we come back April 6th.
There's no reason, is there a reason why we can't bring preschool and TK with modern severe since it's not such a big group? And modern severe already knows the protocols that
we're concerned about mainly busing and training those and get them up and running, and the capabilities of gearing up to that. We can possibly move the March 15th to a week up to
7,
the 8th.
the 8th.
No, you're right.
We can move them up to the 8th. I just want a little break in between to reassess, to evaluate, because every time we bring one, at least this is what we're doing, we would meet and kind of go over what went right, what went wrong, and reassess the situation and then correct what went wrong, obviously, reinforce what went right for the next group that's coming. And that wouldn't give us too much time to kind of do that. Because with all the new protocols and Yeah, we've done it, but it was a small scale. Now this is gonna be a large scale.
Understood, thank you.
Yeah.
So let's say if everything goes good for the moderate, the pre-K, maybe we can bring in the, you know, the first, second, the fourth, fifth, a little bit, you know,
Yeah, we can
Right.
maybe,
at that
1
point,
through
maybe instead of 2
6.
weeks, maybe every week.
Yep.
But let's wait till like, what do you think?
Yeah, we can do
Sounds
that.
good.
Better?
Any additional questions or concerns? So this is just information, Ellie, that, so we're giving you the direction.
The direction that, yeah, this looks feasible and get it going, kids.
Thank you very much, Dr. Guerrero.
The only other thing I have is, on March 25th, if we can have a special board meeting with Dr. Cash to review the board protocols, it's a Thursday. I figured we can do it between 11 and 1 and have lunch, like we've done. Does that work for everybody? I checked with him and he's available,
March 25th?
March 25th.
Dr. Cash, 11 to 1? Okay.
Yeah,
You said 11?
yeah. And we'll go
And
over
that's a
the,
Thursday, yeah? Sounds good.
over the protocols and all that, review that and kind of get us all on the
Okay.
same page again and then review any other concerns we might have. And then we have reached out to 5 different vendors to do a partnership for the vaccine. We're still waiting for them to reply and to give us an indication if they want to come out to Lamont. Miss Yolanda Ramirez, our nurse, is on that. She's contacting those vendors and we're just waiting for them to respond back and to let us know. Yeah, we can come out and these are the dates. And once we solidify that, obviously, I'll bring it to your guys' attention and or approval, so we can move on and try to provide the actual vaccine here with us through a vendor, contract with a vendor. And that's it.
So do you know if, like, because I know it, the vaccine opened up for, you know, the educators and plus on Monday, right? So do you know if any of us, I mean, here in this district has maybe taken advantage of that? I mean, without, maybe, I don't know. I mean, really,
Somebody might.
I mean, I would say people were running to, you know.
I registered as per what has been described for all of us in the county's education. Antonio turned me on to the myturn.ca.gov website. So this is for all educators are to get there and go on and you register real easy, you know, 3 different, you know, screens. It asks you for a phone number and email so they can mail you something. Okay, so I did that. To date, I haven't heard anything. I don't know if you've heard anything, okay?
I haven't heard anything.
So that's what we've done so far. Now, I got information this morning. I got an email from a fellow colleague of ours in the district that works here in the district. So, and he told me a certain pharmacy was having openings and availability. I made a phone call to my doctor. I asked my doctor about, hey, do you have it as my doctor? He goes, no, we don't do them here, but the pharmacy right next door, which is what he uses, and all in that medical plaza use. So turned me on to that pharmacy. Made the phone call. It took me, my 3rd try, it was busy twice, my 3rd try, I got on. They said, hold on a second. I was on hold for about 30 seconds. They got on. They made me an appointment for March 5th. So that's, what, next Friday. So it's there, it's doable, they're available, it seems like, depends on who's got them. But you almost, you know, we don't know who's got them, like that pharmacy, and whether the other pharmacy that's closer to me might have it, right, CVS or those things, whether I could go there and do it quicker. So that's one of the options that we have. And so I have an appointment.
Oh, good.
So,
Okay.
so it is available, you know, it looks like it's going and it's working. It's just by, you know, hopefully by word of mouth, people will maybe like what I'm doing now, you know, just share it. But, you know, fingers crossed. Yep.
Okay.
Kaiser doesn't have them yet.
Yeah. they
I
know.
contacted Kaiser and they don't have them yet. They said they would let us know when they have it,
For the educators.
for the educators, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, one question they did ask, they did ask what group I was in.
Mhm.
So I told them I was in education. And they did tell me that you'd have to bring these certain things. You get on my website, on their pharmacy website, and you download a consent form, and you bring with you ID, right? It shows who you are. They said a district ID, right? And a driver, you know, other ID, like the driver's license, something like that. So, those are the things that they'll see.
Okay, thank you.
Let's move on to item number 3, Director 2, Instructional Services.
Okay, I'm just gonna give you an update on our daily learning loss, this is math innovation. Okay, so this is just an update. We sent out forms to all the families in the district, and, the parents only needed one form so they could sign up for all of their children. We got 378, and we enrolled all of them. We sent out, after we have all the staff for this, we sent out a, communication for parents. We mailed out a letter with a 2-step instructions for them to know how to log in, and a daily schedule. We also sent out a school messenger to all the families and a text message to all the families with the letter. Also posted it on social media, and then after we got all of our teachers, they sent out in the Google Classroom, they sent out a message to all of their students. So that way they knew exactly how to log in. And Google Classroom has the link to the Google Meet. So they just click on the Google Meet and they pretty much log in. For the staff, we posted for 20 instructional aides. They had to meet the CODESP or college units, and only 6 of them, actually 8 of them, met the qualifications. 6 of them are existing employees, instructional aides, and 2 subs. So we had a total of 8 people for 378 students. So talking to the after school program, Mrs. Holguin, and we got together and she was able to give me staff. So we are working together with the after school program. And she was able to give me 16 activity leaders to teach and 3 site coordinators. So after we created the classrooms with all the students, we ended up with, TK has 10 students, but kindergarten through 8th grade, they vary from 15 students to 20. The tech prep that took place prior to this, so every student, every teacher, I created a dashboard for the teacher, something really simple. So the kids could just click and then right away they're in the program. So the home page has a Google Meets, that's the first button. That's how the teacher meets with the students live. Students and the teachers are live for 2 hours. The whole 2 hours they're live, okay? And then the second button is the student dashboard. That's how the student and teacher access the response to intervention program, the iStation. So they click on the dashboard and then it takes them to the next button, which is the iStation. This whole week, they're taking it's called the ICEP, which is the assessment for reading and math. Once they complete the reading and math program, the assessment, then it gives them an individualized, the program creates an individualized program for the student. So every student is gonna be at a different pace. And
And the last button is a Google Classroom button, the one we use for communication and also for writing. Okay. We are purchasing from teachers pay teachers licenses so that way that kids can have access to digital pages so they can type on those pages. For the tech support that had to happen before, thanks to the tech team. Jesse, thank you for Jesse, he's super awesome. Linking each teacher to their classrooms. So those home pages had to be linked to their Aries classrooms and had to be activated in Canvas. So he helped me activate each one of those teachers. And then Sandra created all the classes in Aries, so Aries and Canvas communicate. So once we add the students to Aries, then they communicate, and then the teachers were able to have their students in their own Canvas classroom. Jesse also helped us with Go Guardian, and so that way the teachers are able to see the students when they're in the program. They're able to see the student's computer so they can see that the student is in the program. After that, we had professional development 3 days with all the instructional aides and all the people who were going to teach or were part of the program. We went from training them the overview of Canvas, of the homepage, the buttons, linking because they had to create an Yvonne from the after school program, and Mrs. McGee, they're very good in Google Classroom, so they helped me how to create the Google Classrooms for the teachers, and we linked their Google Classroom and their Google Meets to their Canvas, so that way everything was linked to just one teacher and not two. So every teacher has their own link, so that when the student clicks on the Google Meet, they only go to that one teacher. Okay? Our goal was 100% student connection. So we created a task force with 2 parent-centered child care staff, and then the 3 after-school program site coordinators. So what they do is, right after the teacher takes roll, we assign them a group of teachers to each one of them. They check the attendance. Those students who didn't connect, they call them right away. And that way they can find out if the computer is not working anymore, if the internet is not functioning, or they just couldn't log in. So they walk the parent through the logging in case that was the problem, or if it's a connection problem, then they report it to whoever they have to report. So that has helped a lot connecting all the students. And our next steps is going to be, once the students take the assessment, we're going to be able to see where they were and then how they progress. The next page, this was really just for the teachers, so they would see how easy it was for the students to connect to the art program. They just click on iStation, they click through the Google sign-in, because the students are already signed in, so just click on it and they're signed in. After that, it goes into the iStation. It takes about 4 to 10 seconds to appear. Then they choose an avatar or a character, and then after that, they just do either reading, math, or the Espanol. So it's very, very simple. And I think that's it. The last one is just the welcome letter that the parents receive with the 2 steps login. Do you have any questions? And we'll come back to you with the data so that way you can see the growth. We are getting more students and we're getting a waiting list. So, yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from board?
No questions.
Thank you very much for your report. Let's move on to Director 2, Administrative Services.
As many of us may remember, we we're transitioning from Quest Laboratories and our surveillance testing to the Valencia branch lab testing. We started this on Monday, yesterday. We started here at the district complex. And throughout the day, we had a larger window for the district complex because we had approximately 83 individuals test throughout the day. And that was basically everybody that's on the schedule for this week that's on site and present at different time frames to slowly bring people in. We don't have a congested line. I want to tip my hat, clap my hands, my feet, and give accolades to our nurses, to Nurse Francis, to Nurse Yolanda, Nurse Aubrey. Also, today we tested at Lamont Elementary School. We had a smaller number because we have a smaller number of on-site staff. We collected about 20 to 30 tests. And again, the accolades go to the site staff, the principal, and the coordination there, because it's a lot of time and energy in putting it together. But I think that the 2 days have gone, I want to say extremely smooth. I'd like to have our nurses here to kind of confirm that, but from my brief conversations with both Nurse Audrey and Nurse Yolanda, that's what I have seen. And the drop-offs were dropped off at the appropriate location to be picked up, so we'll have some information from those within 24 to 48 hours is what we're told. So I just know that a lot of work went into that, time and energy, and putting it together. So again, hats off to those individuals, as well as we have the other 2 sites coming on, 3 sites, I'm sorry, here later this week. But again, those individuals, if you see them, our nurses, high fives to them because they've done an awesome, outstanding job.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Molina, have all of our staff been tested now?
It's hard to say, and here's why. When we started with Quest Labs, we set up 4 cohorts. With that, we got through to 3 cohorts. Okay? Some didn't test. Some tests were not accepted or scored, as they said. We had 1 site left. Okay? So we didn't get to that site when we stopped and we paused. As we engaged in the transition to Valencia Labs asked us how many testing sites. We decided on 5. Adding the district complex as 1 site, knowing that we have district staff that move around depending on where they go. So we added the district site. Here, we started, in the testing, we started with the 1 site that has the most staff to test on Monday, and that's the district complex. Because all the sites right now don't have complete staff. Their staff is a skeleton crew, basically. MOT people, we have principals possibly. Remember, we're on AB schedules. So it's thinner. So we started here. So that's why I can't tell you if everybody exactly has. We know that some have opted not to. So that's kind of where we're at. When we get through this week, we should have everybody tested on the schedule that people are on for this week. Next week, we're going to have the similar testing times. Everybody on site will have tested, so we're complying with the 1 test for everybody once every 2 weeks. So, but that doesn't include staff that's still at home, distance learning, right? But when they report to sites, then they will be tested. They will be included in that mix, and they'll follow the schedule. So that's kind of where. So that schedule that we presented earlier is huge because that tells us that it's only going to get more. So we're getting proficient. It's only going to get. We're going to test more, and it's going to be more rampant. So those teams of 3 individuals right now, we have to look to work other people into the mix to if in case somebody's out. So we're going to be training, and that's what we're doing, identifying some of those staff now.
So that 4th cohort that you said that didn't get tested because it was did they already get tested?
That was a Mountain View staff. So that site has not, no. So we haven't had a complete, no.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you very much. Any additional questions from the board? No. Thank you. Let's move on to item number 12, correspondence.
Correspondences are presented as in your packet,
Thank you, staff. Item number 2, department board updates.
presented in your packet. I just have one quick announcement that I forgot to mention. On Thursday, the chamber installation dinner for installation ceremony will be happening. And in it, we're gonna recognize Mr. Tondo for Man of the Year honors for Lamont. So congratulations. Looking forward to that. So just be on the lookout. I think they're gonna film it and do a little video of all the recipients, and as well as, we're also gonna recognize about 3 of our students too, so. But Mr. Tondo, you're Man of the Year of Lamont.
Wow.
Nice.
That is great.
Let's move on to item number 13, closed session. We will move into closed session at 7:27 p.m.